Hi, Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Siti Nur Hidayah binti Isa and my metric number 292457. Okay, today I would like to present my assignment about the inflation. Now I will explain what's mean of inflation. Inflation can be defined as general increase in the price of goods. When inflation occurs, the goods that each ringgit can buy will decrease compared to before inflation occurred. Inflation also can said to reduce consumer purchasing power. For example, 1 ringgit today cannot buy the same items as yesterday. However, inflation does not mean that all goods will experience an increase in price. There is also a reduction in price on some types of goods, and there are even price of current goods that are cheaper than the previous year. Okay, now let's move to the how to calculate the inflation. Inflation can be measured based on the consumer price index, or we can call it CPI. CPI is the change in the price of goods that are usually purchased by the population of a country. So to know how to calculate the inflation detail, you can look this slide. Okay, inflation rate is the percentage change in the price of goods from one year to the next year. Through the inflation rate, we can identify how much the price of goods increase and decrease each year. Inflation rate in Malaysia on 2012 recorded 1.66%. On 2013, the inflation also still increased until 2014, respectively 2.11% and 3.14%. And the inflation was decreased on 2015 to 2.10%. They reduced as much as 1.04%. Inflation in 2016 still recorded a decrease, albeit slightly, at 2.09%. However, in 2017, the inflation value has increased to 3.87%, which the increases almost 1.78%. How can this happen? It's okay, I will explain it later. Okay, let's look on 2018 to 2020. The inflation rate of this year was seen to record a continuous decrease of 0.88% in 2018, 0.66% on 2019, and negative 1.14% on 2020. Year of 2020 is the lowest inflation value throughout the century. However, the inflation rate was successfully raised again in 2021, which is 3.62%. But now I just want to focus to explain the inflation rate in Malaysia on 2017, 2020 and also 2021. As we can see the chart, the highest inflation recorded on 2017. Why can this problem happen? It is because on 2017, there has been an increased transportation cost due to rising global oil price. And 2020 recorded the lowest inflation rate. It is because the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. This virus also poses many threats to the entire world, especially economically. Malaysia is no exception to the statement. The most worrying thing is that the virus is a super spreader and vaccines have not discovered to date. As we all know, this year, the Malaysian economy is facing the worst recession since the 1970s. The COVID-19 pandemic has also affected the inflation rate in Malaysia. According to Bank Negara Malaysia 2020 report, the COVID-19 pandemic is the great lockdown in turn have produced a combination of two different surprise in demand and also supply. Thus, this has sparked a debate over whether the situation will lead to deflationary pressure or rising inflation. Now let's move to the cause of inflation. Okay, we have four causes of inflation. First, cost of living. Cost of living refer to the amount of expenses a person needs to continue living. During the inflation, the price of goods and services will increase, causing the cost of obtaining goods and service also increase. Okay, second, economic growth. During the extreme inflation, economic growth will slow down. This is because when the price of goods and service increase, the price of production factors also will increase, cause of increases in production costs. Indirectly, producers have to bear additional high costs. Therefore, the production of goods and service had to be reduced. This will to some extent reduce the vibrancy of the economy and economic growth will slow down. Third, value of currency decline. When inflation occurs, the price of goods and service will increase. So only few goods and service we can get with the same amount. And we can see that the inflation has caused the value of the currency to decline. Fourth, burden of debtor reduced. The inflation also has some advantage. For example, inflation will give benefit to the debtors. When inflation occurs, the burden of debtors will decrease. If the interest rate of the bank loans does not change, the debtor only has to pay the debt at the low real interest rate only. I will explain for the last part, which is method to pretend inflation. In fact, we cannot overcome this inflation problem, but we can only take an appropriate measure to reduce it. So first, financial policy. This policy will be carried out by the central bank to influence economic activities through control over money supply and interest rates. The financial policy tools are like bank rates, statutory reserve ratios, selective credit controls, and so on. Second, fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is a policy adopted by the government with the amount of expenditure and tax imposed so that a stable economic situation can be achieved. And last but not least, others control. For other controls, the government can conduct price controls, export and import controls, and also rationing policies. So that's all from me. Thank you.